Hi, my name is Nick Thompson, commercial lender at Mercantile Bank, and I have the pleasure today of going through a collateral analysis. So what is a collateral analysis? It's really a doomsday scenario for a bank, right? It's analysis that we always do, but it's something we hope we never have to actually use or that it comes to fruition. So when we make a loan, we almost always take collateral, right? If we're going to lend somebody money to buy a piece of real estate or buy a building, we will take that real estate or the building as collateral. So what I have here is a mock collateral analysis that I'll kind of walk through step by step, and we'll talk about each line independently. So the first thing up here is real estate. So somebody bought some real estate with a building on it for $400,000. How do we get that value of $400,000? Presumably, that's what it's sold for, right? If you have a willing buyer and a willing seller, the sales price is a pretty good indication of its value. However, banks almost always are going to get some kind of an appraisal to verify that that value is correct. So for our purposes, let's assume that it's sold for $400,000 and appraised for $400,000. We are safe to assume that $400,000 is the value of that real estate. However, what happens if we get to that doomsday scenario and the bank has to take it back? Just by nature, whenever a bank owns something, it's worth less. So that's when this column comes into play, which is our discount value. We're going to discount just about everything that we have. So for real estate, that's pretty good collateral, assuming it's not a very specialized property or kind of a single-use property, that there would be a market for this property. 75% is a pretty standard discount for that. So that gets us to a discounted value of $300,000. What else would be in our collateral pool? So machinery and equipment. So most businesses have some kind of machinery and equipment. Again, what is it? What's it worth to a bank? Generally, how we're going to get the gross value for machinery and equipment is you're going to take it right off the balance sheet. There'll be a gross value of that machinery and equipment, and then you'll back out any depreciation that's associated with that machinery and equipment. And this is what we call the net book value, which is what we'll use as our gross value in our collateral analysis. Again, we are going to discount that. What discount value is appropriate for machinery and equipment? That can vary a little bit. How old is the equipment? What kind of shape is it in? How specialized is it? Is this a piece of equipment that only one or two other businesses are going to want if it comes for sale? Or is this something that lots of manufacturers use and there'll be a real market for it? 50%, probably there in the middle. Could go down to 25, could go up to 75, just depends really on what it is, what kind of shape is it in, what kind of market would there be for it. So 50% of 200 gets us to our $100,000 discounted value for the machinery and equipment. The next two we'll talk about a little bit together are working capital, accounts receivable and inventory. Accounts receivable and inventory, again, they'll probably come off the balance sheet. The one thing to keep in mind with accounts receivable is you'll want to back out anything that's aged a long period of time, and that may not be on the balance sheet, meaning accounts receivable aging for that. But if our customer is having a hard time collecting it, that's going to be really hard for the bank to collect it if we have to step into that position. So $600,000 is our value for the accounts receivable. Again, we'll discount that, 75%, get us to $450,000. Inventory is an interesting one. Probably out of everything, inventory is the one where you really have to decide what is it and what would the value be to the bank. If it's something like steel, a raw material, something that has intrinsic value, and there'd certainly be a market for it if we had to take it back, you'll have a pretty high discount factor. If it's something like a work in progress, right? It's a half-built piece of equipment, something that has no use in its current state. If we get that back, we're either going to have to hire somebody to finish it so that we can sell it as a finished good, or we'll have to sell it as scrap value. But something that's in process is going to be worth less, so that'll be a lower discount value. Another example, is it a perishable good? So ice cream. Our customer holds a whole bunch of ice cream as inventory. Well, in its current state, that ice cream is really good. But if we have to take it back, if our borrower isn't paying us, they may not be paying the utility bill either. So by the time we get in there to get our ice cream, it may not be ice cream anymore. So that would be a really low discount value, maybe as low as 0%, because it has no value to us if we were to ever get it back. So sum up both of those columns. This is our total gross value of our collateral, and here's our discounted value of our collateral. The bottom part of this analysis is the loans we have against that collateral. So loan number one is our real estate loan, $320,000. I'm assuming we lent 80% on this $400,000 property. 80%, 20% down payment, again, pretty standard stuff. We do not discount the loans because if we have to take it back, they still owe us that full $320,000. Same thing, loan two on machinery and equipment. I'm assuming we lent 75% on the $200,000 value of that, gets us to $150,000. And our third facility is a revolving line of credit, which is a working capital facility, which would be collateralized by the receivables and the inventory, $500,000 line of credit. The other thing to keep in mind with these, the loans, is that at least the first two are going to be amortizing. So by the time we would have to take the collateral, the loans would probably be less than they are now because they're going to pay them down in that time frame. Sum up our total value of our loans, $970,000. The last calculation you'll probably want to make is called a loan to value, LTV. What is the ratio of the loans we have outstanding to the value of our collateral? So pretty simple calculation. 970,000 divided by 1.3 million gets us to about 75% LTV, which is an acceptable LTV. Now on the discount side, 970 divided by 900 gets us to just over 100%. So we have a little bit of a collateral airball here, and that's okay. I would say that this is an acceptable collateral position for a bank to be in. Small airball on the discount side, about 75%. On the gross side, again, these are going to amortize, and this airball will go away in time. Things to consider with collateral analysis: make sure you understand what it is, right? What is that collateral? What value does it have? And what value would it have to a bank if a bank would have to take it back? Make sure we understand our loans, and we're taking the current value of the loan, right? If we're 2 years from now, this might be 280 instead of 320. We'll want to use the current value of any of those loans. And then our LTV. What is our LTV, and does that make sense for the scenario that we're in? Hope this is helpful. Good luck.